Yo, in today's video, I'll be breaking down LAZERDIM's new Samsung phone music video. It's a super fire music video and it definitely has some VFX gems. So I'll be breaking down everything from these AI transitions to these lyric animations and also this vortex background effect. So without any further ado, let's hop right into it. The website that I'll be using to create this frame-to-frame transition is Kling AI. There are a bunch of different AIs you can use, but I'll just go for Kling AI because that's the one that's been working for me without having to pay any subscriptions right up front. So I'll go straight to the video generation right here, and then we can start by adding in our start frame. This one right here, number 1. Of course, we got to sign in first. So I got the first frame right here, and then I'll click this button right here to turn off native audio, and then I can add the end frame as well. Right there. And as you can see, I have some old footage here of a music video that I was working on a while back. I got some transitions here. That one wasn't the best one, but as you can see here, I got some old ones. But next, I'll open up ChatGPT, and I've asked ChatGPT to write me a prompt for a smooth AI frame-to-frame transition. Yo, sorry to interrupt the tutorial. I just want to let you guys know that I just dropped a new update for my VFX Kit plugin. You're probably familiar with the plugin itself, but with the new update, we added an AI assistant that can edit your music video for you. All you have to do is tell the AI assistant what style you want, and it will get to work. It's literally the easiest way to do VFX. So feel free to check the first link in the description. With all that said, let's get right into this tutorial. And this is what it gave me. So I'll just copy this prompt right here and paste it in the AI right here. And then I'll just generate it. This is what I got from the AI. It's a bit zesty and a bit too slow. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna speed it up. Let's go for 25%. And I'll place it between the start frame and the end frame. So like between this space right here. And I gotta make it just a bit longer. Let's go for 24.7. And then what you also can do is add on an RSMB if you do have the RSMB plugin, just to give it this motion blur that I've added. But that's about it. If you want to remove the logo down at the right bottom, of course I'm not sponsored, so I'm going to show you how you can do that. You just basically mask it out and click invert. Then you head up to the content aware fill and then just content aware fill it out. And make sure that you don't have any layers underneath it. But that's basically it for this first effect. Let's hop right into the next one. The next effect I'll go over came right after the frame-to-frame transition, and it's these animated lyrics right here. As you can see, they're really smooth and they're tracked to the scene as well. And I'll show you how you can create them quick and easy. The first thing we got to do is camera track our scene. So let's go up to window and then find tracker. So now I got the tracker tab open right here. Now I'll just click track camera and now let it analyze my scene. So now it's done analyzing. You can see we have a bunch of points in here. I'll just size them up by messing with the track point size. And we want to find one of these points that stays from the start of the scene all the way to the end. So let's find one like this one right here. I think it stays from the start all the way to the end right there. So that's perfect. Then we can select that one, right click, create a solid and a camera. And then for the solid, let's pre-compose it and make sure you select leave all attributes in the composition. Let's right click on the solid, go to composite settings and change it to the same format as we have the music video. So 1920 by 1080. And then we also have to size it up to like 500%. And then inside this pre-comp, we can actually add the text. I'll go for the same ones that they had in the music video. So it said on the first one, you, and then duplicate this, a, and then duplicate it again. And then we'll go for bitch, just like that. And then we'll select all of these and we'll go to align. If you can't find a line, go to window and then select the line. And I'll line them up vertically. And then we can choose the proportional grid just to make sure that they're centered. And then we want some space in between them. So something like this. And now we want to size them up as well. So let's center our anchor points by holding Control on our keyboard while we click on this tool right here. And that way we center our anchor points. Or actually have to double click. So click on that twice while you hold Control. And now we can mess with stuff like the size for all of these. And yeah, then we can also mess with the color. I'm using the font Arial Bold. I'll stick with that. And then for the text, let's go for something like this blue. And then I'll just copy this color and paste it onto the other ones as well. So it's kind of a long process of stuff that you need to do. Because next, I'd also like to add on some glow. So I'm going to add on a deep glow because that's the one that I prefer. You go ahead and add the one that you like. If you don't have any plugins, then just go for the built-in one in After Effects. I'll paste this deep glow on the other text layers as well. I changed the exposure to 0.41 and then I'll go for 350 at the radius. And then we can also add on a drop shadow and that's about it. I'll toggle the transparency grid right here just so I can see the drop shadow. And I'll turn up the shadow blur, turn down the opacity a bit to like 0.5. And then I'll paste it onto these as well. So now we got the text right here. As you can see, it's pretty small, so we need to size it up, even though it's already tracked. So you can see right there. And then you can make them pop in one by one by just keyframing the scale. So create a scale keyframe, move it in, turn it down to 0, then easy ease these keyframes, turn on motion blur, and then just create a graph that looks something like this. So it goes fast and then slow. So we'll do it one by one, basically. You a bitch. Just like that. So now as you can see, we have the text tracked and they come in like one by one. But as you can tell, this process was way too long. It took me like at least a couple of minutes to create this. So I've been working on this plugin. I'll open it up right here. It's called TXTFX. Like right off the jump, we have this sick looking plugin with a bunch of text animations that you can see. And inside the plugin, you can also add the text that you want. So I'll type out you and then a comma, bitch. So every comma that you add lets the plugin know that it's going to be a new text layer. So we have a bunch of templates in here. I'll go for something basic like this one right here. It's still pretty smooth, but as you can see, kind of basic. Right off the jump, if we just click on that template, it's going to add in the text right here. As you can see, pretty smooth. And then if you like to speed it up, just go to time stretch, and then we'll change it to 60. That's a lot faster. Or we could go for something else like this one right here. And as you can see, that one's also pretty sick. And then inside the plugin, you can also track the text. So all you need to do is click the big Add 3D Camera Tracker button, and then it will automatically add the 3D camera, so we don't need to do much else. So now as you can see, we have these tracker points, and then we also have instructions inside the plugin. It says pick a tracking point, right click, create a solid and a camera. So that's exactly what I'll do. I'll go for the same one as last time, this one right here. So I'll just create a solid and a camera, and then only thing we need to do is click this button right here. So now as you can see, it's automatically tracked. We didn't need to do any of the pre-composing, sizing up stuff, creating text animations. All of that stuff just got deleted from the process. All we needed to do was just pick a template, add our text, and then click on the button. Super easy, super fast. And as you can see, it's really fire, tracked to the scene. And if you'd like to change the text template after already tracking it, all you need to do is go into the pre-comp and then delete all of these and then pick a new template like this one right here. So this is what it looks like. Pretty cool stuff. The next effect I'm going to break down is this effect that has been used a lot throughout the music video. It's a pretty cool one and doesn't take too long to create either. I'll show you how you can create it with the Sapphire plugin, but also a variation without the plugin. So I'll choose these two clips right here. I'll create an adjustment layer above them, and then we can add on the Sapphire hotspot effect, which is probably what they used in this music video. And then here I'll keyframe the threshold, and then right here at the transition, I'll turn up the threshold to something like that. 0.5, and then we can turn it up to 0 here again. So it goes like that. Pretty basic, nothing too crazy. We could also add on something like a directional blur or a minimax and have something like a vertical blur here at the peak. So when it gets dark, we have the vertical blur just like that, or the directional blur, it doesn't really matter. And then at the start, you turn it down to 0. At the end, you also turn it down to 0. It's a pretty cool effect, nothing too crazy. We could also easy ease these keyframes, but if you don't have the Sapphire plugin, you could use the levels effect. So hide the Sapphire plugin, apply the levels effect, and drag it on top of the minimax. And then I'll keyframe the histogram right here. And then at the peak of the transition, I'll make it a lot darker by dragging in the shadows and the highlights a bit as well. So something like this, that should be good. And then at the end, we'll reset it back to normal. So it will look like this. It's not exactly the same, but pretty similar either way. You could also add on something like a curve effect. So here at the peak, you want to make it a lot darker. So you want to drag down the shadows, keep the highlights just like that. And then you can also animate the curve as well. You can just reset it here at the start and also reset it at the end. So it will move kind of like that. And if you want to go all out, recreate the Sapphire look, then you can add on something like a tint. And at the peak here, you keyframe the amount of tint to 100. And at the start, you turn it down to 0. And at the end, you also keep it at 0. It's actually pretty accurate in my opinion. The final effect that I'll be breaking down is this one right here. As you can see, pretty trippy effect. And it looks pretty cool as well. So first thing I'll do is rotoscope out my subject right here. And after rotoscoping out my subject, I'll just add on a refined soft matte just to make these edges a little bit cleaner. I'll turn down the additional edge radius to 3 and the feather to 6. So that makes a bit more sense. Now I'll duplicate this and remove all of the effects from the background. So we have just a normal clip. And right here to the background, I'll be applying the Sapphire Warp Vortex effect. And as you can see, you already know that this is the effect that they used. I'll turn it down to 0 at the start, so we have a normal look. And then as the scene progresses, the vortex will go up. Right here at the last frame, we'll turn up the vortex start to like -400. So this is what the effect looks like. I think I dragged it up a little bit too much. So here at the end, I'll actually drag it down. Let's go for like 100 instead, 130. And then we can easily ease these keyframes. We could also mess a little bit with the graph editor just to make it a little bit faster towards the end and slower at the start. So just like that, actually a little bit faster at the start and a little bit slower at the end, something like this. But that's basically the effect. You could also add on something like a radial blur and let the radial blur get higher as the scene plays through. So 0 at the start, 10 at the end, and you'll have something like that. Pretty cool effect, but that's basically it. I hope you learned a lot and I hope you enjoyed. I'll leave the VFX kit linked in the description so you can check it out for yourself. This new update is insane, so I highly recommend that you go and check it out. I'll also leave the waitlist linked in the description, but I'll see you in the next one.